Hey everyone, TimaeuSS here. Welcome to another Princess Connect video. So this is the second part of the clan battle series where I'm again going to explain the overkill and the synchronization aspect. So especially if you are the new members of WeAuto Clan Battle 2 and 3, please do pay attention because we'll be using some of this, well actually we'll be using for sure this technique during our CB4 to maximize our damage. So I will be simplifying the mechanics involved so that as a more casual clan, we don't have to worry too much about some of the in-depth stuff involved. So what is synchronization and overkill? So in simple terms, synchronization is when you go into a boss instance and you challenge it. Before you resolve, if another player enters the boss before you finish your run, that instance the player has entered is the same instance you have entered, because this is before damage calculation, so the boss is going to have lower HP, correct? So in that sense, two of you are going to be fighting the boss at the same HP. So what is the implication of that? It's well, let's say the boss has 100k HP remaining, and you know that two of your players, each of them can do 80k. So if you went inside with player 1 first, so 80k, and the boss has 100k, the boss will be left with 20k. And then if the second player goes after that, he's going to kill the boss for sure. However, he will not do maximum damage because the damage output of the entire run is the highest when you do the full duration. That's because of UB timings. There are often times where you get the UB out in the last 4 seconds, for example. So when you only have 20k HP left, you would not do the full 1 minute 30 run, and therefore your run is not going to be the maximum damage potential spike. So to circumvent this, if the boss has 100k HP left, you have two players going in at the same time. If you do that, both players will be fighting the boss at the 100k HP instance. And then if they resolve after each other, and you can have a time gap in between, it doesn't matter. If you resolve after one another, whoever resolves first gets their damage through. So the boss, let's say, has 20k HP left. However, the second player, their 80k damage will go through as well, but it's refunded. So few misconception here is that people think if you do this synchronization, it causes an overkill, and you actually get bonus damage. So if you have 20 people going in and sync at the same time, you have 20 people's worth of bonus damage. So that is not true. You can only get as many points as the boss HP, right? So even if you did 80k, because the remaining HP is 20k, you can only get the score off of that 20k. The additional damage you do is not accounted for in the score, and the extra damage is refunded as time. But because you entered it at the 100k mark, you get to run the full 1 minute and 30 and do much more damage versus if you did a 20k run with, let's say, 40 seconds used. So that is the mechanic between synchronization and how to coordinate this on an easier way. So for WeAuto Clan Battle 1, they've been phenomenal at doing this, and it's super simple compared to some of the more complex stuff we do at, for example, Scarlet. So first of all, whoever is leading the clan battle or the sub-leaders, if a boss is near sync, tag everyone in your Discord to let them know no one should enter, and ask who else is still inside, because there are times where people enter and they don't tell anyone about it, and you do a sync and it's already messed up. So you make sure that when the boss is down to last 20% or 15%, you add everyone in the clan and you ask who is in, and no one goes in. So after that, you can ask who is ready to sync, and the command we use to count for who's going to do the sync is just a plus sign. It's a really easy way to see how many people are online and ready to do the sync. So after everyone types out the plus sign, you can probably see, we have 8 people ready for its sync, and the boss has, let's say, 400k HP. If everyone does 70k, then I only need 6 hits. So you count how many people you have, and then once everyone's ready, you go in. And for a lot of the more experienced clans, you don't have to pause right away, but I think for newer clans, I really strongly suggest after you go in, you pause right away. So you pause when your character is still walking in the initial first few seconds. There's no UB timings, there's no nothing, so there's not much to think about. So just pause in game, and then you exit out. Well, don't close the app, but you go to Discord, ideally on a different device, on your computer, if you're using emulator or on your phone, and then you type paused. So then the leads or the sub leads can account for how many people are in the instance of the sync and paused. And then after that, you can play out the fight, and you can pause at 4 seconds. So this is something I don't think the Wii Auto Clan Battle 1 do. They just go to step 2, which is the paused, and once they have everyone paused and we account for the number of people inside, they just unpause, let the auto play out, and that's a sync. But if you are doing more manual and you want to be a bit more selective, what you can do is at the last 4 seconds, pause again, and report your name, your damage, how many seconds left, and what UBs are left. This way, if you have multiple people in, you can actually determine, you know what, this person did not screw up, so we'll take his damage, or this person had a crit, so we'll take that person's damage. It's a way of selecting your best hits if you have more than enough people to go in to do the sync. So that's another mechanic I think is kind of used at the higher levels to help with synchronization. And in terms of overkill, again, it's quite simple. The mechanic is just when you're doing a sync at the end, if your final damage is more or greater, well, it's greater than the boss remaining HP after all the instances are closed, then you get refunded as a ratio. So there are ways to essentially get a free extra hit because the boss, let's say, has 50k HP left and you do about 500k HP. Because the ratio of your final damage is much greater than the boss remaining HP, that you get a full refund. So essentially you get a free 50k damage. Those mechanics have been in the game since the beginning, so it's being used at the top levels across all clans in various servers. So I think making sure you understand this is definitely a key in trying to push your clan to the next level. And of course, Wii Auto Clan Battle 2 and 3, because they come from various backgrounds in terms of top 50 clans all the way down to, I think, top 1000 clans. I wanted to make sure that everyone knows the mechanics involved, so they're not confused as to what we're meaning when we are calling for syncs, or if we're asking for overkills during the next clan battle. So I think that's pretty much it for the sync and overkill mechanic. The next video will be about recording damage reports, as well as using save and loads to really min-max your damage.